Hello, you lovely people. We should be live now. So I hope everything is working correctly. And if there is a problem with the mic, just let me know about it. Just give me a second here. Just let me know about it because I didn't check it. So anyway, for those who doesn't know me and first time into the channel, I'm Rad, and what I do is interpret tarot cards. And in the line of it tonight, or this evening, depending on which part of the world you are, we're going to check into the new moon, full moon, I'm sorry, into Cancer, and how this is going to reflect on us, in general, and as well on every single star sign, according to my tarot cards. Jasmine and Michaela, welcome to the stream. Hope you do have a great time around. I want to apologize in advance as well. I am currently recovering from an illness, a flu, I guess, or I suppose. And that was the reason why there was no live stream, by the way, at Monday also, because we were supposed to make a weekly at Monday, but I fell ill exactly at that day, and I just didn't do it. Couldn't do it. Had a really, really high fever. But hopefully tonight I'm gonna rectify the situation. Jasmine, thank you so much for your $19.99. Thank you, Jasmine. At the end of the stream, as usual, you're gonna have your personalized reading for the full moon in Cancer and what you can expect for yourself about that particular period of time. Let me just put you into the list. Okay. And first thing that I am going to do is get right away to the collective reading. Now, if you have observed the thumbnail, you would have saw 5 cards there. Those are the cards for the collective reading, and as follow. The first one we have is the 4 of Cups, followed by the second card here, which stands as the Death card. Moving on next, we do have the 8 of Cups, followed by the 4th card, which stands as the Two of Swords. And the final card for the collective, that is the High Priestess. So quite fitting for the full moon in Cancer, which, by the way, that is information coming from the Pisces moonbeam. That full moon is gonna hit the most the cardinal signs. Now, who are the cardinal signs, you may ask? Now, I'm gonna tell you right now. This is Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and also Cancer. So those are the signs which the full moon is going to reflect the most. But that doesn't mean that the other signs are going to have a jail-free card, so to speak. It is just those are going to feel its effect the most. How can I put it into words? Most pronouncedly. Nicole, thank you so much for your 15 Australian dollars. Thank you, Nicole. Make sure that you do stay by the end of the stream. You're going to have your personalized reading for the full moon in Cancer. Just setting you into the list right now. And it's very fitting. That is because this is, as Cancer is a water sign, okay? These tarot cards, they are all water cards, except the Two of Swords, which is air. But that Two of Swords falls into the lesson of the lesson that we all must learn throughout the next couple of weeks. And I'm gonna show you now the positions and how this spread is read. I'm gonna show it right now for the collective reading, but I'm not gonna show it every time for each star sign. So the first position here describes the atmosphere and the topic of the full moon in Cancer. Again, that was the 4 of Cups. The second card represents the unpleasant aspects, or what are the things, if we do or if we strive for, are going to obstruct and delay our progress forward. And that is the death card in that particular case. Followed by the third one, which represents the behavior or the attitude that should we exert that will allow us to excel with our growth, and that is the Eight of Cups. The fourth card, it is the lesson that we are supposed to learn, Two of Swords. And the final one in this spread is always interpreted in a positive way because it stands for the energies which are going to help us throughout that transit, or in other words, the gift from the universe for every single one of us. And in that particular case, we do have the High Priestess. So right away, just by the look of those cards, having that Two of Swords being there, all right, Eight of Cups being into the third position, the Death card into the second, that is the most telling sign, by the way, for what I am about to say. Four of Cups, it's a moment for forgiveness. Next, at least according to my tarot cards, next couple of weeks are weeks for looking past the aspects where we can live with and forgive about them. Now, that doesn't mean that that has to involve someone else. Maybe we can't forgive ourselves about something, and in the next couple of days we are not just only going to find the strength to do so, but also the reason why, which is that is very important, because otherwise the forgiveness isn't going to be sincere, is it? But through the lesson that we are to learn into the next couple of weeks, okay, we will learn how to look at one situation from all of its sides, because a situation is like a coin, you know, you do have the heads and you do have the tails, and as much as you can make it positive, that could also end up very negative, and vice versa as well. So long story short, for the next couple of weeks, they should move, at least according to these cards, rather quite slow. That involves a lot of contemplation, right? Is it worth, for example, disturbing one or another situation just because right now I do not like the circumstances? And what is going to be, you know, the outcome if I do disturb it? Because right now I know how things are gonna end, but then if I do disturb them, then I will not gonna know how they are gonna end. Having the Death card into the second position, by the look of the Death card into the disadvantageous position, always states that the time for detachment is not yet ensued. It's not nigh by a large margin. In other words, for example, if we're talking about relationships, means that you haven't exhausted all the options available how to make that relationship work out. Or for business, the same thing, that you haven't exhausted all the options available to make the business work out or to grow in your job as well. The Four of Cups being into the first position also speaks that there is a way through, there is a way out, but it sits outside of the zone of comfort, but emotional comfort, not physical comfort. So in other words, instead of acting intuitively, which is guided by your emotion, right, and that is for all of us, instead of acting intuitively, we should act reasonably in the next couple of months, because again, we will learn to look from all sides of the coin. And finally, with the energies which are going to support us through the High Priestess, that very much depends on what situation we are going to end up with, okay? Because the High Priestess always, as an energy, always exerts a continuity and a consistency. So either is going to help us to find a continuous job, all right, or a certain and secure job, or a long-term relationship, or just a peace of soul and mind for us that is gonna go for a very, very long run. Either way, those energies will help us to calm down, That is the very least. And also it's going to help us to find answers for things that only we can reach a conclusion for. These are bewildering aspects for our own personal life, and also conundrums that nobody else can answer. For example, that could be the conundrum: do I love the person or not? What do I want to do with my life? You know, what kind of a profession should I choose? In these kind of things that only you can answer those questions. Only the one who poses the question can answer the question. And that is basically, at least according to these tarot cards, the global theme and topic for the full moon in Cancer, and heavily emphasize on the forgiveness. So basically, what should be our attitude for the next couple of weeks? It is that, yeah, maybe things aren't going exactly the way we would be pleased of going, but what does really go that way ever, right? And instead of focusing on the minor details, that, for example, you know, your spouse doesn't wash dishes after a dinner, you know, or enters at home without taking his shoes or her shoes off, and these kind of stuff, is that really a reason to make a scandal and to break that relationship even over what unwashed the dish? I mean, it kind of sounds silly now that you think about it, but I'm talking about these kind of mundane issues that we need to learn for the next couple of weeks to look past those things and focus on the future. That although right now the job or the relationship is not exactly ideal, things can work out and the future can hold a much better perspectives. Hello, Anna. Welcome to the stream, and Shanna and Jackie as well. Hope you girls enjoy the show tonight. So with that said, a few notes about the show before I move to the star signs. So within this live stream, there are going to be 12 primary readings. One is going to be for each star sign. I'm going to start from Aries and I'm going to end up with Pisces. Now, throughout those readings, there are going to be also 3 readings that 3 of you can claim. One in each break, so to speak. So the first break is going to take place after Cancer, and one of you can claim a free reading. How can you do that? Well, just simply ask a question once I do announce a break. Ask a question into the comments down below that you want me to read for with the tarot cards, and I usually give 5 minutes people to ask their question, and after those minutes are over, I'm picking one of these questions. Actually, Pisces Moonbeam is going to have that role now, so she's going to pick one of your questions, and I'm going to perform a professional reading. What that really means, it is that it's not going to be just only one card draw, it's going to be a full spread draw. The spread chosen by me based on the question given. So one is going to take place after Cancer, another one is going to be after Scorpio, and the final one that is going to be after Pisces. If you do wish to have a personal reading with me, you can always purchase one going at my website, which link you're going to find in the description down below. There at the very front page, you're going to see full list of the services and also their pricing. So based on your budget and as well your needs, you can go for whichever one suits you best. By the way, Anna, nice avatar picture. I like it. So based on your budget and your needs, you can go for whichever one is going to suit you best. And finally, whoever decides to support the stream and the channel through super chats, you're going to have your reading for the topic of the stream, unless there is a specific inquiry with your super chat at the end of the stream. Anna, thank you so much for your $20 as per usual. You're going to have your reading at the end of the stream. No. Thank you. So with all that said, let's get to the nitty-gritty stuff now. The first star sign that I'm going to read for, that's going to be Aries. You can track which star sign I read for by the glyph being displayed here. Oh my God, does my eye see true? Debbie, you're around? Long time no see. Uh, Aries, first card for your full moon into Cancer, that's going to be the Sun. Followed by the second card of your spread, Three of Pentacles. Moving on to the third one, that's going to be the Eight of Swords. The fourth card, we do have the Queen of Swords. And the final card of your spread, Aries, that will be the Four of Wands. So for as long as you do not rely on other people for the next couple of weeks, you should have a fairly happy experience, or it literally all you do. Things should be unfolding very, very naturally for you, finding joy into the hobbies you are practicing, you know, into the work that you are doing. But again, the work that depends on you rather than relying on multiple people to do the job. Now, why that's going to be the case for you, Aries? Well, that Three of Pentacles being into the third position, it kind of speaks that everybody is going to look from a high horse to anyone else. So in other words, the colleague that you are working with will think and will have the assumption that, you know, they can do better, they know better, and for sure their idea is far superior than yours, which may or may not be true, but that's besides the point. Because that way there will be a constant struggle for supremacy, which way it should be. There won't be any constructive criticism, there won't be any fruitful discussions nor cooperations as well. There will be complete absence of any support whatsoever. So best thing that you can do is just focus on completely personal stuff. That's according to those tarot cards. And by the way, doing so, it seems that you are going to be able to traverse certain thresholds, boundaries or barriers, so to speak, that but by this point you have had no clue that you can go for. Best way how I can describe that, it's say you never thought you can swim, but now because you do had all the time into the world, you tried out, you saw you can swim, and that's a new threshold that you just crossed, and you're gonna freaking like it. And one more thing which is gonna be in your plus into the next couple of weeks is that for one or another reason, Aries, you are going to be very explanatory. What I mean is that whatever point you are trying to get across, people are not going to understand it because they don't want to understand it. Okay, if they do not understand it, that is because they don't want to listen. Okay, not because you're doing a bad job explaining yourself or anything like that. So I think that you should not waste your breath with such kind of endeavors. And literally, if you go down that road, you know, of focusing more on the aspects of your life that depend particularly on you and not others, then it seems that by the end of this transit, you will actually complete a quite important cycles of personal development. And that will allow you to step on into the next level, up your game, so to speak. Now, the lesson that you are going to learn, it could be a little bit poignant. That is because, you know, not everybody is like that. But at the end of the day, having that Queen of Swords being there, right? Queen of Swords, it is the most callous and ruthless card in the tarot cards. And that literally is going to be the lesson. If you do want to have certain progress, you have to be the one who pushes things through. Sometimes with no regard of collateral. Now, you may not exert it, but you are gonna learn it. So that was for Aries. Moving next, we do have Taurus. Hello, Bear. Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. We haven't saw each other since then. So I hope and I'd like to believe that you do have a really great one into celebrating New Year's Eve. For Taurus, first one, that's going to be the Chariot, followed by the Six of Cups. Moving on next, we do have the Hermit. Afterwards, that's going to be the Two of Swords. And the final one, we do have the Moon. Actually, for Taurus, that should be, at least according to these cards, that should be very important ingression or a period of time. Because according to these cards, whether through an information deliverance, okay, or through ripe circumstances, for Taurus, there will be a discovery. And I'm using that word for the lack of a better one. A discovery in a sense that throughout the next couple of weeks now, Taurus are gonna see what is important and substantial. In another word, what's worth fighting for, and what is gonna basically produce value. I don't know how to put it into words. Whether that could be another person or a friendship or a project or a client, and from there what's gonna start. It is a build up into will. Okay, you are gonna start building up will so you can make a giant leap into development afterwards. Most likely, that's quite kind of weird, right? Because if I have to say approximately what stage that importance is, it's neither developed nor it's yet beginning. It's in some kind of a stage of limbo, no different than having a dream for a very, very long time and keeping that dream alive in your mind. And finally, you know, at certain point, you see that that dream can actually become true, and you start preparing yourself to make a huge leap into development in that particular direction. But definitely, you Taurus, next couple of weeks are going to be pivotal, because for what it seems, not anyone else, but depending on what you believe in, say God, fate, universe, whatever the case, is going to set you on a path that you are destined to walk. For some, the path is going to be very easy. For others, not that easy. But at the end of the day, you all are going to reach your destination, which you are meant to be a part of. Just one thing here to say. If you end up starting something in the next couple of weeks, say a relationship, say a job, say a business venture, okay, know that it's not going to be the most easiest things in the world, but it's gonna worth every single shred of and sliver of effort that you are going to put into it. Because at the end of the day, when the whole thing is wrapped up and you turn your head back, right, and see what you went through, you are going to be freaking proud about yourself. And you are going to consider that thing a wish fulfillment. Oops. All right, moving next. Cancer. Gemini, I'm sorry. Hello, Lori. Happy Friday to you too. First card for Gemini, Ten of Pentacles, followed by the Two of Pentacles. Moving on next, that's going to be the Hierophant. Afterwards, Wheel of Fortune. And the final card, that's going to be the Page of Swords. So right off the back, this is a very opportunistic period of time for what those cards are showing here, in a sense of that there will be quite of a few change of plans, but not because you would want it to be that way. Now, let me give you that example. Say that you have scheduled going into cinema with a friend, okay? And half an hour before the movie actually starts and you're supposed to meet with that friend, they call you and say, hey man, I have a fever, so I cannot come. And instead of scratching out the next 2 hours of your schedule doing nothing, it seems that you will be able to fill that gap quite subtly and very, very effectively with a much better prospect. So actually the drop of plans being thrown out of the window, in fact, is going to serve you much better than actually plans working out. But that is only if you do not sabotage those plans consciously. Other than that, next couple of weeks under that energy of the full moon into Cancer, that actually is related to the plans as well. The reason for why everything is gonna work for those cards, it is because whatever investments you decide to do, they will repay, which will allow you to grow more and more independent. So next couple of weeks, for example, you may find a way to repay back a loan, a debt, or just to break certain dependencies of one thing or another, from one person or another, substance or another, and so on and so forth. Best thing though, however, it is that you don't have your strive in a calculative manner. What I mean with that, it is that if you are to do a job, you should do the job because you want to do the job, not because it pays well, if that makes sense. Because otherwise you are going to do a shitty job, it's going to hit you and it's going to hit your reputation, and probably it's not going to pay as well as it was initially negotiated. And if you end up dating someone next couple of weeks, do it because you trust the person, not because you are swiped away of their handsomeness, you know, and good looking. Right, so that was for Gemini. Now, moving next, we do have the big boy itself, Cancer. We do have the Five of Pentacles, first one, followed by the Moon. Afterwards, that's going to be the Two of Swords. Actually, that's the Four of Swords, I'm sorry. So we do have the Four of Swords. Afterwards, that's going to be the Emperor. And the final card for Cancer, we do have the Knight, or the King, I'm sorry, the King of Wands. Knights in that deck are kings in the traditional one. Okay, so these are the 5 cards. Well, good thing about those cards, guys, it is that none of it is gonna matter, okay? In a sense of a long-term repercussions or a long-term damages, because next couple of weeks, at least according to these cards for Cancer, is all about addressing disturbances, addressing things which are issues, which are concerns, okay, which are problems. And for you to be able to do so and actually solve those concerns, if you do wish to solve them, you are going to reach to the conclusion that actually you have to change the way you address them, change the way you behave. So let me put it straight here. You say that you identify that, you know, a certain friendship, it's troublesome. It just isn't working out for you, but you want it to work out. Well, it's not about you, okay? That friendship can only, that is if it is about friendship, can only work the way the other person wants it. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So you will have to change your lifestyle according to that friendship, the way that suits the other person. And you're going to address those situations and actually make a very solid deliberation which one of those it's worth, you know, keeping and which one can simply go. Because at the end of the day, for at least according to these cards, and by the look of the lesson that you are to learn, you are going to understand that everything is a means to an end. And if there was one movie with a line that I so much liked, you know, because the protagonist basically was trying to negotiate a price, and the bully said there are no negotiations. A price is a price, he says. If you aren't spending money into the business, you are costing money to the business. So basically saying, you know, everything is a means to an end. And so, for example, if the person you are dating doesn't do anything else but makes you miserable, crying every night, you know, because they are treating you like garbage, etc., etc., what is the point keeping that person in your life? Or your job constantly abuses you, you know, making you work over hours, and after that underpaying you under a pretense that you haven't done a good job. What's the point being a servant? I was about to use another word, but yeah, what's the point of being a servant then? So these kind of like crucial analysis is what you are going to do, and basically undercut Cancer those kind of activities that you basically don't need. And the beauty of this reading is that this happens under the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is one of the most objective cards. Only the Ace of Swords actually beats the Four of Swords in terms of objectiveness, and that will allow you to find as well a solution to those, how to handle those which you decide to keep on your behalf. And a specific case here about those cards is that if you do have a certain ambition right now, say ambition to establish a business, say ambition to be happy, and so on and so forth, you're going to find the right people for it to help you take off into that ambition, like exert a powerful drive to make that ambition happen. So that was for Cancer. Before I move to the free reading Cancer, it's gonna be okay if you feel very uncertain into the next couple of weeks. Okay, like you may start fantasizing that you are never, for example, gonna find love, or that any minute now you're gonna be fired, which probably is not gonna come around. It is just next couple of weeks, according to these tarot cards, you are going to exaggerate every single unpleasant and negative aspect that it is around you, making it seem tenfold worse than actually is. So don't allow your fantasies to run wild, okay? Because that is only gonna make your time worse than it is. So now one of you can claim a free reading with me. All that you gotta do, which by the way is gonna happen here live. So all that you gotta do is just input a question into the comments down below. I will give you 5 minutes to do so. And after those 5 minutes, Pisces Moonbeam is gonna pick one of your questions, guys, on which I'm going to perform a professional reading. Chandra, thank you so much for your 19.99 US dollars. Thank you, Chandra. At the end of the stream, you're going to have your personalized reading for the full moon in Cancer. Well, Morning Star, if I can answer those kind of questions, I would have been a lottery millionaire from a very, very long time. That is actually the certainty, or how can I put it into words? The magnitude of the type of question that you are asking, nobody can answer that. Artemis, I actually stayed home in a New Year's Eve. I'm probably getting a fever again. Okay, let me pop a pill. Oh, that's a movie? Oh, okay. I thought that was actually a question. I will look into it. Depends the genre. Alright, there are genres which I don't watch at all, like comedy or drama. Those genres I do not watch. All right, so the contestant was already picked just now. We broke up today. Will we get back together? Kim's is asking, so let's check it out, Kim. What I can tell you is the prospect of doing so. Are you gonna get back together? Now that depends on the conscious choice you both make. Okay. Michelle, thank you so much. Or Michele. I think that's how your name is pronounced. Thank you so much for your 555 US dollars. Thank you. You have a specific inquiry with it, so let me put it into the list. Yeah, Artemis, I'm still recovering from a flu. Liz, thank you so much for your $20 support. Thank you. You as well. At the end of the stream, you're gonna have your personalized reading for the full moon in Cancer. All right, so back to Quim Kim's question. Now, Kim, according to these cards, which by the way are 3 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, and at the end we do have the 4 of Wands. Okay. There is according to these cards, what the real reason for the the real reason for the breakup is. It's the fundamental belief that this relationship can work out in a long term. So somewhere along the way, although the relationship was sitting on the establishing patterns, it kind of reached a bar that for one or another reason was not crossed. And that was why it actually was the reason for breaking up, according to these cards, the very least. And in order for a reconciliation, that bar must be crossed, or at least a promise that the bar will be crossed must be there. So, for example, if you wanted the children, right, but your boyfriend didn't, then it is all in his hands. I mean, he must want children. Vice versa as well. I mean, if he wanted the children and you don't, then the only way you're getting back together is if you start wanting children. Okay, so basically there is the differences in what you and he wants, and until those differences are corrected, even if you end up being together, the outcome is going to be just the same. So it's going to be an agony, basically. So the best way you can actually work things in your favor in that particular situation, it is if in any way you end up talking, okay, address every single detail that the relationship had, which was left unaddressed, okay, and try to find literally a common ground. But getting back together, I don't want to lie to you, by the way that those cards are set up, it's by a long shot. It will take a lot of effort. Actually, you have to challenge yourself, okay, and go above and beyond to make it happen. So before you actually strive for that quest, if you do decide so, make sure that it is gonna worth it. All right, a couple of minutes, and then moving for the next 4 star signs. I don't know your case, Kim, but in those cases, usually what plays a role is stability. And basically one wants more stability than the other, which wants more freedom. And this is where exactly the lack of common ground is. And that's why a relationship's ending. All right. So next we do have Leo. First one for Leo, King of Pentacles. Second card, we do have the Ace of Swords. Afterwards, that's going to be the Queen of Wands. Eight of Pentacles, it is the fourth card. And the final card for Leo, that will be the Five of Cups. So, it seems that this will be a rather period, guys, where you will have a much more efficiency, for the lack of a better word. If you do focus into the enterprises which you have already established, rather than to seek a new enterprises, and there is a couple of reasons for that. Now, the first one, it is that the more in control you are with the enterprise, the more, how can I put it into words? Well, that's kind of like, it's not gonna make much sense, but the more in control and the more power you do have into the enterprise, the more you will be able to sway the outcome in a way that is going to serve you best. And that way, you do not want to start something new which could go either way without you actually ensuring the outcome of everything that you're trying to develop up until this point. And the second reason, it is that Ace of Swords that I drew, which basically stands for hidden information. You basically won't know anything, or actually everything, about the new venture. There is going to be still things yet to be revealed. Hello, Mattia. Welcome to the stream. So that's why, according to these cards, it would be very wise for you to wait for a while until things kind of like clear up a little bit more before you jump into the enterprise itself. But other than that, it kind of seems Leo, it kind of seems, Leo, that with your current and existing endeavors, whether they are relationships, whether friendships, or projects, whatever the case, you will do an exceptional progress, and it's very, very possible that by the end of this transit, you will have even better results that you have anticipated. And it's also very, very possible that by the end of the transit, certain preparations or plans that you have been making up until this point now finally are going to be ripe for execution. Yeah, they kind of like to execute the plan and make the thing happen, so to speak. Those of you guys which are single, by the way, what that's going to be a huge and big lesson for you within the next couple of weeks. And that is that if you do want to find person to an appropriate person for you to date, you actually have to step outside of your current social circle, okay, and try to find a person outside of your, I don't want to say zone of comfort, but let's say known environment, so to speak. And finally, what I would say here is that no matter how things develop for you, it seems that you're always going to be able to end up on top of it, at least for the next couple of weeks. Mattia, thank you so much for your $19.99 US. Thank you, Mattia. At the end of the stream, you're going to have your personalized reading for the full moon in Cancer. Yeah, tomorrow is the Slavic Christmas. All right, next, Virgo. Eight of Wands for Virgo, followed by the King of Swords. Moving on next, that's going to be the Six of Pentacles. Afterwards, that's going to be the Ace of Wands. And the final one, that will be the Eight of Pentacles. Thank you, Pisces Moonbeam. I was about to do that, but yeah. So I don't know how comfortable it's going to be for you, Virgo, for the next couple of weeks. That is because there will be a lot of activities which are going to be around you, and whether you like it or not, you are to be swirled into them. In other words, you ain't going to have much of a say of what project you are going to be assigned to, or what people you are going to be meeting, for example, because one or another reason, not all of the Orthodoxy, Mattia. For example, the Greeks and we, the Bulgarians, we are at the 25th. We are celebrating it at the 25th rather than the 7th. But yeah, it's basically it's due to the discrepancies of the Gregorian and the Julian calendars. So back to Virgo. Yeah, it's you are to be swirled into them. the first thing that comes to my mind, imagine you decide that next couple of weeks you want to really focus at your work, right? And focus on one thing at a time. But suddenly someone asks you to go out with them for a cup of coffee, and you say, you know what, let's do it just once, right? But that cup of coffee transforms into a bowling game, and then cinema, and then ending up in the pub with other people, and it will be very difficult for you to detach from that. It's just as easy. It will not feel right for you to detach from those things. So you will have that constant struggle into the next couple of weeks, Virgo, for, you know, what is kind of like rational and what is objective for you to do. Almost is going to be like a struggle. What is right and what do you want to do, that kind of a thing. But this whirlwind of activities actually is going to present you with quite of a gainful enterprise. One of them, at least, is going to be very gainful enterprise for you. That, by the way, it's going to be quite different from what you are used to up until this point. So it's going to give you a great deal of opportunity for you to learn about yourself, about gifts you have, for example, skills you have that you didn't need it up until this particular point, but now you get the chance to develop those things. So if nothing else, you are to have quite of an interesting experience in the next couple of weeks. One advice, though, from those cards, it is that if you are to be involved with something, make sure that whatever action you make is supported by your conscientiousness, okay? And you do not ignore the details. Now, you may not have the eye for all of them, but for those that you do have an eye for, you do not ignore them. And that way, you are never going to go wrong. I mean, you are not going to risk anything on your behalf. Brainstorming and literally overthinking things, trying to read in between the lines, it's not going to serve you well. What I mean is that, say someone tells you something, or they're telling you exactly what they mean. You don't have to read in between the lines, okay? Next, we do have Libra. Well, in that particular case, Jen, of yours, maybe the place where you are to move is going to be much more interesting. And if we are to believe those cards, with way more opportunities than the one that you are right now. Libra, 7 of Wands, it is the first one, followed by the Knight of Swords, which is the second. Moving on next, that will be the 8 of Swords. Nine of Pentacles. And the 8 of Wands. Give me a minute. So those Those couple of weeks for you, Libra, it will be, I don't know how much you want that, but it will be you clashing with certain individuals, people, say, uh, co-workers or friends, because it seems that those individuals are actually, you will realize or find out or come to your attention, whatever the case, that actually what they are doing is restricting you, restricting your growth, restricting your options available, restricting, confining you, right? I don't know how to put it into words. It's confining your reach. So it will be, it's not like a struggle, but it is more like setting the situation in between you and these people in a way that you will be restricted no more. Usually that happens through, you know, very open and honest conversations in between you and these individuals. But the thing is that why is this is so interesting? It is because of the Seven of Wands being into the first position. So what this card really tells us here, guys, it is that those people are not making it intentionally. It is just right now they do not know better because you haven't told them better. That is no different than, say, you do have a child and your child is doing and it's a little girl or a boy, doesn't matter, and it is doing inappropriate things that saw from another child in the daycare. Well, if you don't show to your child that these are inappropriate things, they just don't know better. So because you have a certain code of behavior, you know, doesn't mean that other people have the same. And if you don't like something, you certainly have to address it instead of assuming that people should have the same, you know, criteria like you, no matter how close to those people you are. So it will be those unpleasant conversations, you know, and confrontations that you have to pinpoint that that's actually not cool for you to doing because this and that. And at some point you may even feel a bit uncomfortable and even embarrassed that you have to actually voice it out, and those people are not actually coming to a conclusion. That's not cool. But actually this is going to, well, if I say that word one more time, it's going to be for the seventh time. It's gonna come to a point where you should be able to set a really nice environment in between you and those people. So bottom line here is that if you are not on the same page, say with a friend of yours, next couple of weeks are probably the weeks where you are to set the score straight in between you two. And whether things work out or not, if they are not to work out, that is because that person doesn't want to get any better, okay, and they think only about themselves and nothing else. And that way you are to be convinced that you don't want those kind of people in your life. But either case, by the end of those couple of weeks, you are to be surrounded only with people which actually you can make something tangible with. And one last thing, once the confrontation actually happen, aggression is the last thing you want, because that way you are just gonna put the person into defensive, and even if they by default they have the attitude to change their behavior, they ain't gonna do it because you are aggressive and they just don't want to give ground. So you actually must lead them to believe, in other words, beguile them to get better rather than force them to get better. Hello, Norma. So that was Libra. Now moving next, we do have Scorpio. Nine of Swords. This is the first one for Scorpio, followed by Temperance. It is the second. It is the Three of Swords. And it is the Two of Pentacles. And the final one for Scorpio is going to be the Hermit. Oh man, that's gonna be a hell of a ride for us. So, literally what those cards are saying, it is that we are to face an extreme consequences within the next couple of weeks. And under extreme consequences, I mean the acme of the consequences. So, and when I say consequences, that doesn't mean a bad thing, okay? Because a consequence is just the result of something, right? Because usually when you do use those words, that word consequence, it's interpreted always in a negative way, right? But it doesn't mean a negative thing. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Because say if you are flattering something, a consequence of that could be that they fall in love with you. But yeah, we are, not you, but we are, because I am Scorpio, we are to face an extreme consequences. And the best attitude we can have is to just powerhouse through them. So I believe that even if they are pleasant, they will be problematic. For example, so if that person falls in love with you, the person is going to be married. So it's a pleasant circumstances, but it's a problematic circumstances. Okay. And the lesson we are to learn in the next couple of weeks is actually a famous phrase of a friend of mine. And it goes like that. Okay. It is that whenever things are going good, they are just, going good. But whenever things start getting down, right? Whenever things start getting down the drain, there is no bottom to that hole. Whenever you think that it cannot possibly get any worse, the universe just have a very weird and even twisted way of surprising you, showing you that yes, they can. It can get much, much worse. Doesn't mean that this is what's going to happen. That is just a lesson we are going to learn. Okay, but there is one saving grace here for Scorpio. It is that no matter what the consequences we will have to powerhouse through, that will actually make us realize what is all for. I don't know how to even put it into words, but for example, is going to make us just that is just for example, is going to make us value, say, our health more, or our marriage more, or our job more. Okay, and that itself is gonna make us put more efforts into it without actually forcing ourselves to do so. We are willingly gonna start doing so, and at the end of the day, the results of all that, it will be that anything that has a value for us, we will nurture and flourish and thrive and grow. So yeah, it will be a nasty thing next couple of weeks for Scorpio. And again, the severity of those consequences, it will differ. For some of Scorpio, they are going to be negligible, right? For others, they are going to be quite severe. That depends on what kind of a situations we do have, but by the end of the day, we will have to face the consequences, guys. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I am pretty damn sure what that means for me, but yeah. Well, I don't know, Jen. Usually you don't have control over consequences. Whatever they are, it's already a set deal, right? That's what consequences pretty much means. So of the time of the time of this reading, we can only take it. So no matter what you do, there is no avoiding it. All right, now one of you guys can claim a reading, a free one, and all that you gotta do to do so, just input a question you want me to read for with my tarot cards. Pisces Moonbeam is gonna pick your question after 5 minutes. Okay. So you can start inputting your questions if you do wish a free reading, of course. Right now, you do have 5 minutes to do so. Well, one of the reasons why Scorpio are having that reading, okay, or are gonna have that experience, it is more or less so they can face what they are afraid of and see that they can actually live through it and see that it is not that bad. That it could have been worse, and that is the lesson that I said, that it can always be worse than that. It should be, Mattia. The only kind of like the scary part of the Scorpio reading was that temperance being into the second position, which basically formed the word extreme. All right, that the consequences are going to be extreme. So we are either going to have all or nothing, so to speak. Okay. Which I pretty much don't like, to be honest. I don't like extreme things. All right, so Pisces Moonbeam, we do have just only 2 questions, so pick one of them. Oh, you're probably not around then. Oh, Jen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Bye, Kate. Have a great one. All right. So, any consequences to this Scorpio, meaning Jen, having professed love to her Cancer? Let's see. Oh my God, what is going on today? Those are your cards. Well, the best thing I can tell you it is that you do made your Cancer think about it. Okay. Or see the interaction you do have or the relationship you do have in a completely different light. It is possible to go in a completely different way. Now that Two of Cups being next to the Fool card, it's just a potential, but not yet happened. That is because it's neutral to the Fool card, okay? Which pretty much means that, well, long story short, that at least for the time being, you do love him more than he does you, if he does it at all. But as a consequence, it's way too early to be said. There is gonna be quite a few conversations in between you two before actually a direction is taken. Because right now, a long story short, from those cards right now, anything is possible in between you two. Way too early to be given a definitive prediction, if you will, for what is gonna, for even, you know, what his response is gonna be. There is gonna be quite a few more follow-up conversations or interactions just to be made clear, you know, how far that whole thing can go forward with. But you definitely made your point, and you're not gonna waste your time anymore. That is according to these cards. And by the way, the worst thing you can do is compare him with someone from your past. That's not gonna be taken well. All right, that was the second pre-reading. The third one is gonna take place after Pisces is done. So next, Sagittarius. The first card for Sagittarius, that's going to be the Star, followed by the Eight of Wands. Afterwards is the Hermit. Then it is the Nine of Wands. And at the end of the day, we do have the Eight of Swords. The Sagittarius is actually the king, at least according to my card so far, from the star signs, and that is simply because, at least according to these cards, they're the only problem that they're gonna have, Sagittarius, that you're gonna have, is gonna be your choice. I mean, you're gonna have so many things to pick from that's gonna become a problem. For example, you're gonna have quite a few people, that is just for example, that will want to date you, that you may have a problem to decide whom you want to date with. Or if you are looking for a job, for example, at some point it may open up for a couple or even 3 jobs, that now it's a problem to decide which one you want to go for. Okay. Yeah, I do have a pretty strong stellium in Sagittarius as well. So, long story short, though, that's going to be a problem, right? You actually deciding what to go forward with. But aside from that, it seems that this phase of the moon is going to end a pretty problematic aspect in your life, okay? Whichever you are facing the most problems at, for one or another reason, they will simply either be resolved or they will stop being relevant anymore, because that star card being into the first position pretty much signifies ending of an era of a turmoil, okay? And now the whole prospect for the future, that is going to be clear in front of you. The star card could also stand for unfolding love, or right away, you know, fulfilling your ideals and your standards. But that is in a long term. Again, it's an unfolding one, which means that it's gonna grow with time. It's not gonna happen over a freaking night. So what will be important is not to waste your time, but instead put your bet into where you know, and you will know. Whether you believe in it or not, that's another story, all right? But you will know where your investment, whether it's investing emotions or money, will have a return. So it will be best to be true to what you know rather than to what you want to believe into. And if you are true to what you know, then the whole situation will allow you to, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to say distort the situations the way that is going to suit you best. So you basically, aside from that, you will have a clear course of action and a clear field of action as well. You also are going to have the power to dictate the rules. That is because you're also gonna be fortunate enough to not just only to know what you are dealing with, but also to be aware of anything that is going to be possible to take place there. You are basically going to be forewarned in one or another way, which will allow you to take full advantage of whatever you are to be involved with. Yeah, Anna. Oh my God, Sean. Thank you so much for your 50 US dollars for you and Sherry. And her birthday is on 20th. On 20th. What? On 10th. Yeah, thank you, Sean and Sherry. Thank you. Yeah, at the end of the stream, you're gonna have your readings. Okay. Thank you again, Sean. Right, so yeah, that's basically about Sagittarius. And that is important that you should do, or rather go for what you know to be true rather than to what you are fed to believe into. Because and that's a trend, by the way. My recent personal readings, most of them revolved around, how can I put it into words? Well, let's say it that way. It is that one thing is said, but then the actions are different, no different than, for example, someone tells you that they love you, but they do nothing else but makes you feel bad. So are you gonna go for what you know that they are making you feel bad, because that's the reality, or what you want to believe that they love you? Because if you love someone, why would you make them feel bad, right? It's kind of like it doesn't make any sense. That is just an example. Right, so next, Capricorn. The High Priestess. It is the first card for Capricorn. Followed by the Emperor. I'm telling you, Capricorn, that strive for control someday is gonna be your undoing. Someday, it's truly gonna be your undoing. Then it is the Strength. Afterwards, we do have the King of Pentacles. And the final one, that's gonna be the Page of Swords. Alright, so guys, do you know what I learned the hard way when I was the second grade? Okay, that was one of the biggest lessons in my life that I will never forget. And I learned that if you do want something, well, you have to give in return. And if you are the one who wants, you have to be the one who actually gives first. Okay, because that's literally how the world works. You wanna buy a good or whatever, a product, what do? Well, you purchase it. You give the money first, and then you get the product. That is basically how the world works. And one way or another, that's how you will. That's a lesson that you will learn within the next couple of weeks. And this whole process takes things out of control, right? So yeah, for a moment there, you will have to give away the control, whether to your spouse or to your beloved one or to a friend, okay, a husband or a wife, whatever the case. So yeah, you will kind of like, you'll have to be vulnerable for a moment. And best way how you can address the situation or how you can push through that situation is by maintaining your composure. We have the strength here into the third position. That speaks that you can't allow to can I put it into words? You cannot allow it's not even an aggression, it's more like a sense of urgency. You know, that moment when things are out of your control and you feel that overwhelming impulse to do something about it, where you don't have to and you shouldn't. So that is something that you will have to fight with in the next couple of weeks. And basically you gotta, it's not earn, prove your trust. You trust the job, well, you do invest in the job first before the job starts paying, okay? You trust the person you want to be with, well, then invest into that person first before you're actually expecting them to invest in you. And that's the worst part here, because it's about you losing control. That means that you ain't gonna have any warranties, right? You're definitely not gonna have any warranties. So that's gonna be the terrifying part. And it doesn't, those cards does not show that you are gonna make the step, okay? It is just what you will kind of come to a conclusion of. Are you gonna make the step or not? Well, that depends entirely on you. However, if you do have any doubts right now about one thing or another, by the end of this 2 weeks of a transit, okay, 2 weeks of an energy, you will have doubts no more. Basically, you will kind of like set yourself on a certain version or a choice or whatever the case, and you will be convinced into it. No matter the results, you are gonna never in your life regret it. And for what is worth as well, you will value even more the things you already have. So that's a big plus. All right, next, Aquarius. And the Nine of Swords again. Followed by the Knight of Cups. Moving on, next is going to be the Page of Wands. The Lovers, it's the next one. And the final one, that will be the Three of Cups. So for you, Aquarius, next couple of weeks is going to emphasize for us, because I am rising Aquarius, is going to emphasize on what actually makes sense. That is because having that Knight of Cups into the second position, or in a follow-up of the other cards, could mean a couple of things. First, it could mean that we are to be fed, I don't want to say lies, I would rather say fallacies, okay? A quick example of it is that someone really wants to catch your attention, our attention, and they are kind of like saying things, not that they don't mean them, they do, it is just that is so far-fetched that it's not laughable, but it's kind of like it's ridiculous to believe, right? So how can I put it into words? Imagine that someone really likes you and they want to date with you. That person will be willing to promise you anything in order to start dating with you. And it's not like they don't mean it, but if they promise to bring the world down in your knees, can they really do it? Right? So they really want to do it, but they just can't. No one can. So that kind of that's why I didn't say lies, because they're not lying. It is just, you know, they are exaggerating so much the things that they want to do for you that it reaches the point of just fairy tales. And of course, if we do like that person, if we're following that example, we would want to believe him. And this is where, you know, we have to be in tune with what makes sense, really. So depending on, are we going to stick with what makes sense, or we are going to stick with the fallacies, will define how the next couple of weeks are going to go forward. So they can either play out as our biggest fears, right, crushing down on us, or they could play out as a what was I about to say? As the biggest reassurances. So, for example, if you didn't have a self-confidence in a way of moving forward with interactions and relationships, that's quite of a big issue in the society right now. People just don't have that opinion of themselves that they are good enough for one or another. So if you were in such a way, you are to be proven wrong in the next couple of weeks, meaning that you are to see that, you know, many people, you are catching an eye of many people, and that is going to boost your self-confidence if you stick to what makes sense. But if you give up to the fallacies, very quickly you are to be involved in a situation that will hang on by a thread, and you will be really, really afraid that this situation is going to crash down. Other than that, Aquarius, the next couple of weeks should present us with quite of a many new things for us to explore. So it's going to be very important to be open-minded, all of us, right? We should be literally open for anything new. And that anything new will also involve other individuals. It is just the name of the game for Aquarius next couple of weeks. It's teamwork. Okay, so be prepared to interact with quite of a few other individuals, like I said. And long story short here, it is that no matter who you do interact with, you are always going to be able to find something in common. A common feeling, you know, a common view for the future, a shared opinion, and that will make the theme work so easy, whether it's a business work or intimate work, whatever the case, okay? But it's going to make it very, very easy. So bottom line here is that by the end of the next couple of weeks, we as Aquarius are going to understand, or if you do prefer, confirm for ourselves that despite how much we want one thing or another to be true, the reality, what makes sense, and the harmony are the only things that actually can provide with results and make problems disappear. Because we may want to believe that one problem is going to solve itself on its own accord, but does this really make sense? And long story short, that is for Aquarius. Aquarius, the big emphasis, guys, don't believe everything you hear. It's not because, again, you are lied to. It is because it's very, very far-fetched. A pretty typical example of it is that someone who is married is also dating you, and they're promising that they're gonna leave their husband or wife, whatever the case. Yeah, sure. I mean, when I see the file for divorce, this is the moment I believe you. Because this is a notorious line, isn't it? I mean, there are even many TV shows and movies revolving around that lie, and it's almost 80% a lie. I mean, and 80% of the time, it's a lie. All right, last but not least, from the star signs, that's going to be Pisces. First one for Pisces, the Nine of Wands is what we have, followed by the Five of Pentacles. Moving on next, that's going to be the Death card. Afterwards, it's the Four of Swords. Happy New Year, Tracy. Welcome to the stream. Final one, Six of Wands for Pisces. So actually for Pisces, it is like shaking off the garbage, for the lack of better words. Now the next, and I don't know the right expression into English. We, the Bulgarians, for such an expression, it's a bit not exactly vulgar, but it is a nasty words are used, which I'm not gonna use in English, of course. But imagine it that way. It is that you do have a shitty aspects, whether shitty people, whether shitty circumstances, whatever the case. And now within the next couple of weeks, you're actually gonna have the chance, without diving your hands into those shitty things, delivering yourselves from them. So basically telling them go away, and they just go away. That being said, that could involve toxic relationships, you know, it could involve unprofitable work. And because the Death card is into the third position, pretty much means that you will do it unscathed. Walking out from a contract and so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, that will be the most successful thing for you, Pisces, for the next couple of weeks. And from there, you're basically gonna be able to fill the gaps, so to speak, with aspects that it will basically make your experience moving forward way more efficient, for the lack of better words. Yeah, it's having to show up a lot. That is because the Four of Swords, it is that is, first of all, it's property of the Four of Swords. It's problem solving. Okay, problem solving, being objective, and also all of your conversations be having making sense, in a sense of being productive, actually resolving something rather than just whining around and all these kind of things, which is a good thing that this card is showing up a lot tonight. And by the way, that is, Pisces, what your lesson is going to be all about. Or if something doesn't make any sense being around you, basically you have no use of it anymore, there is no point sticking it around at all, but just burning the bridge with it. So you may not have an awareness what that is right now, okay? But within the next couple of weeks, it will be pretty clear. That said, it will be best not to delay any time around it. And last thing for you, Pisces, is that there will be that feeling, guys, where, say, you do understand in the next couple of weeks that there is a friend out there that is only making things worse for you anytime they are a part of the company or anything like that. They're just making everybody feel bad and all these kind of things. So you decide that this person no longer is going to be your friend, but that decision will create a hole that you need to fill up. And that will be actually the challenge, because for you, it's not a severance, it's more like a replacement. So you have to replace one thing with another. That being said, if you do decide to break up with your spouse because you see no point moving forward with it, okay, that means that you immediately have to start dating someone else, because otherwise there will be that hole that you will feel. You will have to make a replacement. All right, so that was for Pisces, and now the last free reading is gonna take place. You have 5 minutes to input a question that you want me to read for with my tarot card. So basically, guys, if you do want to have a free reading with me, now is the time to get one. And in order to contest for it, all that you gotta do is to input a question into the comments down below. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to do so, and after those 5 minutes are done, Pisces Moonbeam is gonna pick one of your questions, which I'm going to perform a professional reading on it. And after that, the super chat readings are gonna take place. Anyone who supported the stream and the channel through super chat is gonna have a reading at the end of it. That's guaranteed. Hello, Lisa. We started a couple of hours ago. So you didn't exactly miss it, but you are tuning at the very end of it. Yeah. 2 hours ago, yeah. A long time no see, Lisa, yeah. All right. So there is only one question, which is Jen's. That her husband is falling into bad habits. So the concern is actually, are they going to be able to work things out? Let's check it out, Jen. Those are the cards. 10 of Wands, 6 of Wands from one side, 10 of Pentacles of the other. Well, it goes without saying the reason for it. It is the pressure and the high-end expectations. It is basically, I don't know what's going on, but in your husband's mind, basically a lot is riding, and that's just a way to relieve the pressure, so to speak, one way or another. Can it be worked out? Yes, but not on its own, with help. Okay, I don't know what that means, but for example, it could mean rehab, it could mean some kind of society, a professional. I just there saying that with help. Or if the pressure kind of like disintegrates with time, but help is a better course of action right now, because clearly by having those two cards here, they either mean that these habits are start building up dependency, or that they are becoming a part of thy life, meaning that the more and more he gets accustomed to them, okay, and the more is weighted, the more difficult things will become to work them out. So yeah, I mean, you both have to take measures like right away. That is at least according to these cards. Waiting it out is not gonna really work out for you both. All right. Now the super chat. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. Well, Jen, no matter what tarot cards are showing, astrology or anything, if someone doesn't want to improve, they don't want to get better, there is no power in this world to fix that. All right, Michele, how does my future look at my current job? The card is the Six of Cups. The near future looks good. Actually, the Six of Cups kind of shows that your future tasks, projects, and even people that you're going to work with, you will pretty much going to enjoy to a point that the chores which are accompanying those activities are not going to even feel bad. Okay, you're actually going to look forward performing into them. So pretty promising about your future outlook and prospect into your current job. If nothing else, you're gonna start liking your job more and more, if that's even possible, because jobs are very hardly liked. At the end of the day, you are there to solve problems, not to feel good, right? So yeah, that's how your near future looks at your current job. Nicole, these are your cards for your full moon in Cancer. Okay. Keyword for those cards, Nicole: a radical treatment. Okay. Something is gonna take the cake. And oh boy, that's gonna be the edge of the knife, the tip of the spear, whatever the case you say it, or whichever way you want to call it. Okay. And enough is enough. So you're basically gonna, for the lack of better words, show what you are really made of. That at the end of the day, you can be quite exertive, for a lack of better word. So what is going to come down to are either actions or choices which are going to be of a last resort. That is why I said it's a radical treatment. That is the way, for example, how you may treat your relationship if you are in any, through ultimatum that you will be very willing to keep. Like, for example, you know, we either marry or we part ways. That's a radical treatment. But the reason for that radical treatment, it is so you can accustom your situation or situations the way that are bearable, that actually serve certain purpose to you. And they have a future, so to speak, rather than sitting into one place, having no growth, going nowhere whatsoever. And that is going to basically what this transit is going to revolve for you. And if played right, you should set yourself very, very well for the future. Okay, that is like how can I put it into words, Nico? That is like a burst of courage. I think that even certain people are going to be very unpleasantly surprised by it. Okay, because they will see quite of a different Nicole from what they are used to see. Yeah. But definitely things for you are to change for the better. Right. Next, Jasmine. So Jasmine, within the next couple of weeks, those are your cards, by the way. We do have the strength. Bye, Michelle or Michele. Bye. So the strength first. The Knight of Cups, it is the second. Then it is the Chariot. Afterwards, it is the Four of Swords. And the final one, that will be the King of Cups. Okay. Most likely, these cards refer to your professional experience rather than the personal experience. I'm saying most likely, but they could also refer to your personal experience. So, long story short, it seems that next couple of weeks, Jasmine, are going to be quite, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to use enthusiastic. That is because there will be a chase that is going to worth participate into. It could be a chase of a client, a target, okay, uh, a revenue, whatever the case. And that's why I'm saying most likely is going to be a career oriented, because otherwise a chase of a man, and usually women are not those who are chasing. However, that will be because there will be some kind of a proposal being thrown out there, which you are going to see no reason to deny it whatsoever. Now, the chase itself, it will be quite challenging. I don't want to lie to you. It will require a lot of efforts, but by own definition, it will worth it. Now, where the problem really lies, that you will see little to no support from people that you already know you. Even worse than that, some of them could think that you lost your minds chasing or participating into that chase. For that, you should seek no approval, nor it's approval, okay, from anybody but yourself. Basically, if you think it's worth it, then it's worth it, and you do go for it moving forward. But long story short here, in regards to the spiritual aspect of your next couple of weeks, Jasmine, is that you will understand that everything carries on certain predicaments and problems with it, you know, and best thing to solve them, it is that to prepare prematurely for them to ensue and to appear. And that way you are going to almost not feel those problems, but prepare yourself for quite of a passionate, enthusiastic, and very, very interesting next couple of weeks, because they will be, kind of put it into words, enthralling, or rather thrilling. They will literally gonna be thrilling for you. Bye, Norma. You're welcome. One last thing I need to tell you here, Jasmine, like I said, it will be quite challenging, which means that it's gonna be difficult. Okay, that the chase itself is gonna be difficult, but it's not going to be, how can I put it into words? It's not gonna be a struggle, if you know what I mean. So difficult to a point where you will have to put almost everything you got into it, because it's gonna have a high bar of fulfillment, but it's not gonna be a struggle, because it's not gonna be problematic itself. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Jen, for your 1999 US dollars. Thank you. Uh, that is like a course of action that you plan to do. All right, next, Anna. Oh, it happened. Okay. So basically, you are saying that you consciously ran away from him when he was coming toward you, and then a week later you actually changed your mind, and now you're wondering where you stand. I do not laugh at questions. One thing that this profession taught me of, it is that there are no stupid questions. Okay? There are only stupid answers to the questions. All right, Anna, those are your cards. 10 of Swords. Then it is the 3 of Cups. 9 of Swords. The 2 of Pentacles. And the last one, it is the 3 of Swords. So, if those cards are to be believed, Anna, your friends or people that you are associating with next couple of weeks are gonna shrink drastically. What those cards are showing here is that you are to make an executive, say, decisions. How you wanna have it, how you want it to be. And some of those which you are associating with simply are not gonna be up to the standard, so to speak. And guess what? You wouldn't care. Basically, this time around, for what those cards are showing here, is that you wouldn't care how your wish is taken, because at the end of the day, it is your wish, right? Because the energies which are going to support you throughout the next couple of weeks are those energies which will, how can I put it into words, make you callous for any kind of mental cruelty and say criticism and even emotional manipulation. If you, it's just these things ain't gonna work on you. Okay, just won't. And I will allow you to basically break, not even sever, it's like a break ties and relationships. It could be also partial, who knows, only time will tell, but break those kind of, yeah, it's part of a relationship or relationships right away that you are afraid of, in a sense of that whenever that person calls you, for example, you are afraid of speaking them because they will, because you know that they are going to surprise you with something negative yet again. Okay, and yet again, that person calls or sends you an email, and it is yet again something negative that you have to read about, let alone some kind of a harping or so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, you may end up being a bit lonelier if you are feeling lonely having few people around, but there won't be any predispositions, so to speak, for you to feel bad. And that will be a reason because you just, it will be undeniable that you are not seeing eye to eye anymore. Why? Well, it is because what the other side believes into, it's outdated to the current situation and it's irrelevant. So basically you are emancipated, they aren't, and that way it can't work out in between you two. So long story short, Anna, next couple of weeks are gonna be quite, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna say determined. You are to make very determined actions and choices, and they are going to be a testament for whom really supports you and whom doesn't, and those who doesn't, you will have no remorse basically cutting them off your life. But the best thing, like I said, is that those who are manipulating you up until this point, with their future attempts doing so, will only going to expose themselves as people you do not need and you definitely don't want around you, because their manipulation is not going to work this time around and you're going to see right through it. So it's a period of what I like to call liberation that you are going to have moving forward. All right, next, Chandra. Well, that's the best thing you can do, Jen. All right, Chandra, those are your cards. First one, it is the Fool, followed by the Knight of Cups. Moving on next, that's going to be the Hierophant. Afterwards, it is the Nine of Swords. And the final one, Chandra, that is going to be the King of Swords. So I do believe here that the King of Swords is the driving force. So what basically it's most likely to happen for you, Chandra, next couple of weeks, it is that suddenly, or it could be slowly, progressively, that's also not excluded, is that a way out of certain conundrums or difficulties, it's going to be revealed most likely through analysis. And this way actually is going to be a brand new way, most likely a way that's most likely a way that you haven't contemplated about up until this point, which is going to uncover quite of a new few possibilities, and even how can I put it into words, a fields for you to explore, so to speak. So definitely those couple of weeks are going to be addressing the concerns and the problems that you are facing, no matter how big they are. Okay, it could be small problems, it could be a big problems as well. Now the resolutions or the solutions themselves, they are not going to be exactly pleasant in a sense that the process itself, it will require, for lack of better words, putting yourself, say, outside of your comfort zone, or the actions themselves are not going to be an actions you would enjoy doing. Okay, so for example, you know, you're working with a friend of yours, that friend of yours are screwing you out with some kind of a deal, or they are embezzling money, and you have to you find out that you find that out, you find the solution to that problem, and it's your best friend. The solution is not going to be something you like, but hence you will have to do it at the end of the day if you do want to resolve the issue. So that is the peculiar thing of your reading, is that there are new options available. Okay, but those options available are going to be in the framework of the civilization. That's not going to be something that blows thy mind. It's just an options available that will make sense, and they are completely applicable, so to speak. Now, whatever our next couple of weeks are gonna emphasize on, whether business or whether romantic life, according to the cards, at least your intentions should be that building trust. Or in other words, whatever you do or whatever actions you are to take against or with someone, ask yourself that always. Can I trust them? Or can I rely on this individual? If you can't, you better not take any action, at least for the next couple of weeks, because things can go really, really bad otherwise. I'm sorry. And the reason for all that is because there are going to be there are certain lines that should never be crossed. However, if one person crosses them, then the response needs to be reciprocal. And that is going to be the main topic of the full moon in Cancer for you. Just make sure one thing, at least according to these cards, and that is primarily for business, is that if you do decide to go about certain option available, it is that it's one you are convinced in its righteousness rather than you're doing it for the results itself. Because it's not like it's not going to work other way around. It is just you're not going to regret the process after. That's the reason why you should go about that way. All right, next, Liz. By the way, Jen, thank you for another $9.99 for a few cards and guesses. Right, so those are the cards. For you, Liz, the Devil is the first one, followed by the Eight of Cups. Moving next, we have the Two of Swords. Afterwards, that's going to be the Ten of Cups. And the final one, that will be the Four of Swords, Liz. So if we are to believe those cards, next couple of weeks actually are going to be quite pleasant for you, except those moments which you just cannot let them slide. Okay, say you do have, you are going out on a date, and for the most part, that date goes really well. But the person you are on a date with says something that you consider inappropriate. And if you don't let that one slide, it's just going to taint, right away pollute the whole experience. So that is basically the aspect that can really ruin things for you. Other than that, what those cards are showing is that you will have the ability to create, right away, force the circumstances you want. So for what the cards are showing, it is that it is best to really know what you want, because otherwise, because you're gonna get it, and sometimes we get what we want just to see that it's actually something we do not need. So the advice of the advice of the cards, it is that, how can I put it into words? Analyze your current blessings first, because that is a certain way to see what do you really missing, and that way you will be able more accurately to dictate what circumstances you need in order to accomplish it. That will be the best course of action. Other than that, according to these cards, the universe gifts you with peace, meaning that it is highly unlikely to face any difficulties or problems within the next couple of weeks. And even if you do, the solution for them is going to be right there. The only thing you got to do is to just execute it right away. Well, basically, whatever you yearn for, it will be possible, okay, within the next couple of weeks. It all comes to that. Are you willing to live with it? Or to live with the consequences of it? Happy New Year, Laura. All right. Next, Mattia. All right, Mattia. Page of Wands. Two of Swords. Seven of Pentacles. Judgment. And then it is the Five of Cups. So, for you, the next couple of weeks are going to feel a bit more forced than they have to. In other words, things are going to move in a faster pace than what you are comfortable with. And also, there is going to be a stir in one or multiple situations that you may feel not ready to proceed with. However, that is just a feeling, okay? And for what those cards are showing, although you may be disappointed with how the things are turning out, in a sense of, you know, instead of having the option to take your time in one thing or another, the situation presses for action right now in this very moment, and you're just not feeling ready enough or prepared enough, and so on and so forth. It's unlikely for you to make a, let's say, devastating move. So even if you do make uncalculated one, even if it is kind of wrong one, you will have your multiple chances of fixing it moving forward. But basically the reason for all that, it is because into the next couple of weeks, things are going to start falling together. And it's going to be a pivotal moment for making the wheel work. I don't know how to explain it, but it is like, this is going to be the moment of make it or break it. And that's why there will be that sense of emergency, that you have to act or make your choice now, although you would like to have a little bit more time to think about it, to prepare for it, and so on and so forth. And for what the cards are showing, Mathieu, is that you should expect anything. Okay, things can go in any direction. No, that's not the exact expression, but it is like the result of your performance could be literally anything. So that's why you have to be open for anything to happen within the next couple of weeks. And in conclusion, you do have all the information you need right now to make your not just only educated guess, but also your choice. Okay, Sherry now. Oh my. Page of Wands, Sherry, with the Devil. Then it is the Two of Swords. Afterwards, we do have the Tower. The final one, that's going to be the Hierophant. So, having that Tower there, it's that's the lesson where, you know, no matter how much you try to swim against the current, you can never fight the current, right? Or in other words, it's the lesson where you just can't fight fate. It's whatever has to happen is going to happen. You just, best thing you can do is just to roll with it. And that pretty much it is where one learns that you have to transform with life, otherwise you do fall behind. And what is the transformation right now? Well, for what those cards are showing, and I don't know how it's gonna sound, but it is not about you, in a sense of that right now, next couple of weeks, it's not about the way you want things to work out, but it is about how it is supposed to work out, which there is a discrepancies for what those cards are showing. And you just have to make your peace with all that. Should you do so, that's exactly what you're gonna have, peace. And that is not for me to say, but again, I'm speaking from the tarot cards. Having that Devil into the second position, basically, some of the things you want, or in other words, some of the aspects you want to work out in a certain way, you don't know what you want, because basically that's not the ideal way they can work out. So even if you know, they don't work out the way you want, they are going to work out better than the way you want. Some of them, that is. You just have to have your trust into the transformation of the situations which are around you, and also trust the already paved way, for a lack of better words. So long story short, Sherry, where that really leads you? Well, first of all, you will realize that you can handle a lot more than what you thought you can up until this point. You don't have to handle it. You're just gonna know that you can handle it. Okay. Second of all, what would have been a bad news is gonna happen to be a really good one. And finally, from there on moving forward, you will have a lot more tolerance for different stuff. So basically, you will become a lot more open for a lot more different stuff to be a part of your life. It's a period of transformation, long story short, where the unacceptable becomes more acceptable from the yearnings you do have right now. It's quite of a spiritual read, okay? And I hope that I made sense. All right, next we do have Sean. Oh my. All right, Sean, those are your cards. 10 of Swords, 8 of Swords, the Strength, the Fool, and the 5 of Swords. So, Sean, this is a abrupt and clean break with, for example, certain unhealthy habits. It could be with anything that it is malignant to your life, for a lack of a better word. And that will be abrupt. That's why it's gonna be a bit uncomfortable, even it could be a bit painful. Okay. Here, basically what happens it is that within the next couple of weeks, you will see things being a constraint, being an obstacle for you. No different than, for example, if you want to start going to the gym, working out, and so on and so forth, it's not going to be a long time before you realize that smoking and drinking, that's a constraint, that's an obstacle, that is a setback. Okay. And if you do want to progress into the gym, you have to stop right away, not slowly, but abruptly, with the smoking, with the drinking, the unhealthy food, and so on and so forth. Now that could be with, that could relate to anything, okay? You may kind of like come to a conclusion that a person you work with is actually a constraint for the business you have. They are actually restricting that business to grow. And whether you like it or not, if you want that business to grow, you have to fire the guy or the woman. And you gotta do it right away. There is, not right away, but it is like, you can't do it in a painless way, if you know what I mean. So, here in Bulgaria, we do have a say, and we do say that if you do want to open up a new brothel, in order the brothel to be new, you cannot fill it up with the old workers, because it's going to be basically the same old brothel. Oh yeah, it will be... Well, I don't know, man. I mean, you tell me. No, it doesn't relate to a relationship. I mean, intimate relationship. It definitely doesn't relate to intimate relationship. Unless your wife is bossing you around. Do you boss him around, Sherry? Because if you do, it may be. But I don't think you are bossing him around. So yeah, it will be a strive for a clean new experience, so to speak, that does not relate to your past anymore. That will be basically the lesson that you are gonna learn, Sean. And you wouldn't care what anyone thinks about it. But so what you can expect to be done throughout the next couple of weeks is for you to make quite of a radical moves in order to improve the quality of your life and your personal standing as well. Basically, by the way, I do like your gift from the universe. It's ruthlessness. That said, no one's actions or words is gonna be able to sway you off whatever you decide to do. All right, Jen, you do have two readings. One is where you stand with that person, and the other, it's a guidance one. So let's check the first one. You're welcome, Sean. All right, Jen, so those are your cards for the first question you asked. The moon with the 10 of wands, 6 of swords, justice. All right. So let's first address the positive thing. And that is that you made a move. As you mentioned, you professed your feelings. Now let's get to the negative part of the matter here. Your actions, or the way you did it, or maybe a combination of both, kind of overloaded the situation. Basically, it overwhelmed the person. So he's more afraid of the situation and what could follow after if he is involved than, feeling, for now at least, being content to be a part of it. So where you do stand, we have the moon at the first position. Now the moon, whenever it comes in a prime position, meaning the first or the last, it says that you are not supposed to know, because you can change it and you are not supposed to change it. But what it also says, it is that it's a part of your future. So I can safely say, if those cards are to be believed, that your story with that person has not ended yet. And there should be stirring between you two by the end of May this year. And from that stir that is to happen, it will be judged how things are gonna proceed forward. And whenever that stir takes place, you should be ready to take accountability, whether for good or for bad, about whatever you are asked or whatever actions you are to make. And now you asked some cards and guesses. There we go, those are the cards. Six of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, the Emperor that we have here. First things first, very likely, Jen. Someone that you haven't been in touch with for a very long time. Well, enough time for you to kind of push that person off your mind. There will be an incentive for you to catch up with them. Usually it relates to an old friend, you know, or relative or something, something like that. Another thing it is that you are gonna start growing more and more independent into the near future, and that will be because you are gonna start addressing more personally, or how can I put it into words? You will stop relying more and more on other people. Well, Jen, you don't know what he would have thought. Uh, from my experience that I am dealing with, no, that doesn't mean only money, Jen, about dependency. You could be dependent on your neighbor, for example, for them to fix the leak that they do have, all right? Or you may be dependent on your neighbor to trim their lawn for some reason, okay? These kind of things, not just only about money or business or anything like that. Okay, you may be dependent on, say, a child of yours for something. It is just growing into becoming more independent. What I meant is that you will stop. How can I put it into words? Regarding others around you. Okay. For example, if you want to go to a cinema, that is just an example. Till now, you always want to have someone with you, which creates a dependency, right? Otherwise, you ain't gonna go to cinema. But suddenly you realize, why should I need someone? I mean, I can enjoy the movie myself, and there you go. That dependency is broken. So that's what I meant. You're gonna start growing more and more independent, especially into solving problems here. because with those cards, what they show it is that at the end of the day, the person that you can rely most, it is yourself. And finally, I don't know what they're referring to, but basically things for you are gonna start loosening up, and you will become more and more free from needing to managing serious stuff. Basically, the environment will become more carefree for you. Well, we all depend on something. I mean, we depend on the electricity company, the internet provider. We all depend on something, on many things actually. Even the grocery store, if the grocery store closes, we depend on them. So there is always a room to grow more independent. I depend on that as well. It's a silly thing, right? But I am dependent on it. Because if I don't have what to smoke, it comes a time where I can't think for anything but smoking, and that makes me very inefficient. It could, yeah. All right, everyone. That's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and we're gonna see each other next time. And until then, bye.